This is ILTV on the hour, bringing you the biggest stories from Israel and the Middle East in just 5 minutes. I'm Shosh Bedrosian, and today is day 633 of the war in Gaza. Let's get into all the top headlines at this hour. We begin with the new comments. Netanyahu is now saying that new opportunities are rising after the ceasefire deal with Iran was established. While meeting with officials at Shin Bet facility in the south of Israel, the prime minister said first and foremost to rescue the hostages, and then going on to say to resolve the issue in Gaza and defeat Hamas. Netanyahu's opposers say it's the first time since October 7th the prime minister placed the release of the hostages as the government's top priority above the defeat of Hamas. And as momentum and pressure continues to grow for a ceasefire and hostage deal, Netanyahu used the word rescue instead of the word release while speaking about the hostages. Here's what else he had to say.
צריך לפתור גם את עניין עזה, להכריע את החמאס, אבל אני מעריך שאנחנו נשיג את שתי המשימות. אבל מעבר לזה נפתחות אפשרויות אזוריות רחבות, שבחלק מהם, בעצם כמעט בכולם אתם שותפים.
The Hostages Family Forum responding to that, saying, quote, the families of the hostages welcomes the fact that after 20 months, the return of the hostages has finally been designated as a top priority by the Prime Minister. Meanwhile, their statement goes on to say, quote, it is crucial to emphasize that what is needed is release, not rescue. The difference of one word would mean the difference between salvation and loss for the hostages. Now, the families of hostages have long warned and feared that any military action to rescue living hostages could result in their deaths. Netanyahu's comments come after President Trump made remarks a ceasefire deal could come within weeks, and after Trump took to Truth Social to say, quote, make the deal in Gaza, get the hostages back. Now, it's unclear at this time if progress has been made on a possible deal, as there's been no updates on if a team of Israeli negotiators has met with officials in Egypt or Qatar, and as Israel pushes for the dismantling and disarming of Hamas in the Gaza Strip, the terror group continues to push back from recent negotiations. Despite officials saying Hamas is weakened, they still control the Gaza Strip. And turning to the war in Gaza, after the IDF issued large evacuation orders in the northern part of the enclave, Netanyahu and Defense Minister Katz and IDF Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir held high-level discussions yesterday to evaluate next steps in Gaza that could include a potential move forward towards a wider military option if the hostage negotiations fail, which would result in a breakthrough to end or pause the war in Gaza. Within the IDF, there is an ongoing debate about whether to press forward in the enclave or declare the war's main objectives were achieved, including the destruction of Hamas's military infrastructure and senior commanders, the dismantling of tunnels, weapons systems, and the seizure of over half of the territory. Meanwhile, ongoing violence is happening in Judea and Samaria, once again making headlines. This time, not between Israelis and Palestinians, but between extremist Jewish residents and Israeli soldiers. Tensions in the region reached a boiling point over the weekend, culminating in violent clashes between a fringe group of settlers and Israeli security forces. The violence began Wednesday in the Palestinian village when dozens of Jewish residents of the area reportedly rampaged the area. 3 Palestinians were killed, 7 were injured, and property was torched. The IDF said it responded to armed fire from Palestinian gunmen. And on Friday night, tensions escalated again. The military says a group of people in the area returned to that village and were met with IDF forces trying to prevent further violence. And moving on to what is happening inside of Europe, we are talking about the Glastonbury Festival that has happened. We know that anti-Israel chants were made specifically from 2 different artists in the area. Police say they're looking into these chants by performers Bob Villain and Kneecap at this year's festival, which was broadcasted live on the BBC and was heard by tens of thousands of people who actually joined in on these chants. We're showing you the video of it right now. As you can see, they were calling death to the IDF. The police say, quote, it raises serious concerns about the normalization of extremist language and the glorification of violence. That's a wrap on ILTV on the hour. Thanks so much for joining with us and being with us. Stay tuned for more.